So now we are going through PQ question 5, the first term of the geometric progression to be A. Alright, so we know from here we can straight write all. Okay, so the AR is equals to A. Alright, the sum of the first 10 terms is 1 over 8 of the sum of the reciprocals of this term. So the sum of the first 10 terms, we know that this would be a sum of 10. It's 1 over 8 of the sum of the reciprocals. We'll look at how what this actually means later. Right, the sum of the first 10 terms, we know that A is equals to 8. And if we were to talk about the sum of the first 10 terms, let's say we were to write it out, we have A plus AR plus AR square, so on and so forth. And finally, the 10th term will be AR power 9. Alright, and since we know that we have the first term to be 8, so it's 8 plus 8R plus 8R square all the way up to 8R power 9. And sorry, it's a typo. Okay, so what you can do is you just take out the 8. You have 1 plus R square plus all, okay, plus R power 9, right? And taking a look at this, you can see that the 1 plus R square, we can actually write this as a form in the form of a GP formula. This is nothing but the sum of n terms, where, so if you observe again, this is a GP where your first term is 1 and your common ratio R is just R, right? Okay, so we can actually use the GP formula to sum up this from 1 all the way up to R power 9. So this will just give us 1 A minus R to the power of, right, sum of 10 terms, so A 1 minus R to the power of n over 1 minus R, right? So this is the sum of the first 10 terms. Okay, and what about the sum of the, so next one we're going to look at, so this is the first one. Next one we'll talk about is 1 over 8. It's 1 over 8 of the sum of the reciprocals of these terms. Alright, so of the sum of the reciprocals. Now, reciprocals come last, right? So reciprocals of these terms. Now we know that our terms looks like this, right? AR square. So that means, right, if we're going to talk about the reciprocals of these terms, alright, our terms are 8R square, so on, so 8R, right? 8R square all the way to 8R power 9. Now the reciprocals of these terms, we are talking about reciprocal of 1 over this, 1 over this. So this one will be reciprocals, right? And let's say we're going to talk about summing all this up together. We're going to talk about summing all this up together. What's that going to give us? Alright, let's try to simplify this. And maybe what we can do is we see that there's a common factor 1 over 8. Okay, let's take it out. Okay, we have 1 plus 1 over R. Over here, if I take out 1 over 8, I left with 1 over R square, all the way up to 1 over R power 9. Alright, let me try to simplify this. For this, again, is a sum of 10 terms. And if you notice, right, this is also a GP where your first term is 1 and your common ratio is called the common ratio is actually 1 over R. But the common ratio is 1 over R. So what we're going to do about this, we can actually easily simplify our formula here, the chunk of terms that we have here. So again, let's listen carefully to how I pronounce it. So this is A bracket, your A is 1, A, okay, 1 bracket 1 minus R, so this is the common ratio to the power of n over 1 minus R, right? So that is the sum for our GP, right? And since 1 is a negligible, we can just take away 1 over R to the power of 10. We can just rewrite this as 1 over R power 10. Alright, we can erase the bracket is not needed, and this is what we have. This is the reciprocal, this is a sum of the reciprocal of the terms, right? This is the sum of the reciprocal of the terms. Okay, so based on this, right, we know, let's say if I call this B, let's say I call this B, and I call this A. Alright, so based on the question, we know that this is our A is 1 over 8 the sum of the reciprocal of B. Alright, so A is equal to 1 over 8 of B. So connecting our A and B, alright, we have that we can write it this way. We can say that 1 minus R, our A here, this is the original A, this is equal to 1 over 8, right, the sum of B. Right, so what's the sum of B? The B is over here, which we have found just now, minus 1 over R power 10 over 1 minus 1 over R. Alright, okay, and if we are going to, let me simplify everything. So this becomes an equation that you can solve. Okay, so very quickly let's try to solve it. Okay, so it's quite fun to solve, right? So what we can do is we can see 1 over a1 here. We can multiply both sides by 64. Alright, so we multiply both sides by 64. Okay, we can get like 512 on one side. Okay, this is 1 minus R to the power of 10. 1 minus R. On the right hand side, this 8 and this 8 will disappear. This gives us 1 minus 1 over R to the power of 10. 1 minus 1 over R. Alright, what else can we do? We can multiply by R on the top and the bottom. Right, that gives us R minus 1 over R to the power of 9. And we have R minus 1. Alright, let's multiply by R power 9, R power 9 again. Right, so you want to get rid of this denominator. If you multiply by R power 9, this gives us 1. This gives us R power 10, right? And at the bottom, we have to multiply by R power 9. This gives us R power 9. This gives us R power 10, okay? And we have simplified. You can see that I actually have simplified the right hand side. Okay, so I'll leave you to simplify the left hand side. Okay, and solving this equation here, this will actually give you some, like you have R to the power of 9 to get 1 over 2 to the power of 9, and R will be equals to half. Alright, so I'll leave the manipulation to you. Okay, so with that, next thing we need to do is we need to find the sum of the first 7 terms of A, right? So remember the question asks us to solve, show that the first 7 terms of the original GP is the same as sum of the 7 terms of the reciprocal. So we know that for our first term, that the sum of A, your A is equals to 8 and R is equals to half. Alright, and because for B, we know that the first term is actually 1 over 8, right? And the common ratio in that case was equals to 2 because it's like 1 over R, right? So over here, we know that the sum of 7 terms, this will just be A bracket 1 minus A to the power of, how much? 7 terms, right? Okay, over 1 minus A. Alright, and you will actually get this to be, okay, so let me write it at the top. This will be equals to 2 power 7 minus 1 to the power of 8. For sequence B, correct, the series B, we do the sum of 7. This will be the first term 1 over 8. 1 minus, because in this case, the common ratio is more than 1, so I'm going to use the other formula. It's R power n minus 1 over R minus 1, right? So, okay, so it's just R minus 1. And similarly, this will give you the same answer. This will also, you realize that the sum of 7 for A will give you 2 power 7 minus 1 over 8. The sum of 7 for B will also give you 2 power 7 minus 1 over 8. Alright, and I'll leave you to do the verification for yourself.